Shalom Akim, all praise and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone. Salutation to you, Akim, doing the work in truth and sincerity. This video is basically about Trump's takeover of Washington, D.C. I'm going to point out a couple of facts and get a couple scriptures. And I'm going to play this video, so without further ado.
President Trump visited police and National Guard troops in Washington, D.C. last night. While there, the president suggested that other cities could be next for a federal takeover.
We're going to make it safe, and we're going to then go on to other places. But we're going to stay here for a while. We want to make this absolutely perfect. It's our capital, and I guess it used to be many years ago safe, but it's certainly not had a very good run.
And we want to go to CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand, who's at the White House with more on this. Natalie, good morning. So tell us about the president's visit with law enforcement, and how has this federal takeover in D.C. gone so far?
Good morning, Michael. Well, you heard the president there say that these federal law enforcement officers patrolling the streets, also National Guard, will stay a while. It's unclear what that timeline will be, but he praised the work that they're doing on public safety, indicated he's happy with how this anti-crime initiative is going so far. And in his remarks there, where he also handed out some hamburgers and pizza, he indicated that there would also be work to be done on local parks and roads, even saying or signaling that the administration will go to Congress to ask for some more money to do that. Now, in a social media post overnight, the president also touted that there were no murders in Washington, D.C. this week. The Metropolitan Police Department confirmed that to CBS News. And Attorney General Pam Bondi, in posting an update on the initiative, said that since this began, there have been more than 630 arrests and 86 illegal firearms seized. The FBI saying charges include theft, assault, drug offenses, and others. But our local CBS affiliate and local reporting partner also notes that a number of immigration-related arrests have been part of those numbers, driving some of those arrest numbers. This is obviously something that's been met with a lot of pushback and protest from local city leaders and community organizers, saying that it's not necessary, also saying that it's creating distrust and confusion in the community regarding the relationship between local Washington, D.C. police and federal law enforcement. And local police data also shows that violent crime in D.C. has been declining for the last year after it spiked, Michael, in 2023.
All right, Natalie Brand at the White House. Thank you.
So basically, they're doing the same model that they did during the 1960s and 70s. In the 1960s, when Jake was coming back up, that's when they made that law of the great state, when they brought in welfare, Section 8 and all that other stuff, and minimum wage. Now, the reason back then they brought in minimum wage, welfare, and Section 8 and all that other stuff is to destroy the black household, to destroy the black nuclear family. Because we know during the early 1900s that Jake basically made their own cities and made their own economies. And that was without Esau's help in America. So they had to come up with all these laws to make sure Jake stayed oppressed. And they came up with, welfare, the Section 8s, and minimum wage, to make sure Jake couldn't get any type of work. And of course they came up with the hourly wage to make sure Jake couldn't get any type of work or any type of leg up, or make it very, very difficult, and to destroy the nuclear family in Jake's neighborhoods. The man can't be in the house. We all know that from, well, at least I do, from growing up. All of that stuff came in the 1970s. Why? Because even after they destroyed all these Jake neighborhoods from the 20s to the 40s, in the 40s, Jake started to rise again. You know, and you have such famous names as Thomas Sowell, Walter Williams, so on and so forth. You know, famous economists. You know, and Jake was just starting to come up again. You know, as far as a people, and then they made all these different rules, and that was all meant to destroy the black family, which they did. So this is basically based off that same model, except for now they what like the brothers say, they got the MAWA movement, Make America White Again movement. And Trump said this a few months ago about getting rid of all these black museums. Now, Trump's takeover of the Washington, D.C., you know, we know that it is false. It's not necessary. Just like on the news report says, it's just not necessary. So in this article, it says GOP governors are sending troops to D.C. Their states have 10 cities with higher crime rates. So the states that are sending more troops to D.C. have higher crime rates than Washington, D.C. has. And I'm going to scroll through this just so, you know, if you want to read it, you can pause it and read it. But scroll through this real quick. And then I'm gonna come back and read the first couple of paragraphs, and then highlight the stats. So that's that. Now, when you read the first couple of paragraphs, it says at least 10 cities and in states whose Republican governors are deploying National Guard troops to Washington, D.C. had higher rates of violent crime or homicide than D.C. last year, according to CNN review of FBI data. And governors from Ohio, Tennessee, Louisiana, Mississippi, South Carolina, West Virginia announced this week that they're sending troops to assist President Donald Trump's crackdown on crime in the nation's capital. Violent crime was already falling in D.C., though it still ranks 17 amongst major cities. So the crime was already falling in D.C. Then Trump announced this takeover of Washington, D.C. And then, you know, this is the breakdown of the crime rates, because these 16 cities that are above have higher crime rates. Memphis, Tennessee, by far, you know, twice as many, actually more than twice as many crimes. And Hattiesburg, Mississippi, twice as many as well. But they're sending troops to Washington, D.C. when their violent crime rates is double. You know, and then you see the breakdown of all the rest of the cities that's sending troops to Washington, D.C. because that just makes no sense, you know. But if you're paying attention, Trump said many months ago, matter of fact, let me see if I can find a video. Let's see if I can find that video where he said, there it is, President Trump ramps up attacks on Smithsonian Museum. CNN, Abby Phillips responds to Trump's attempts to downplay slavery. You know, because this is talking about that Smithsonian. Trump escalates attacks on Smithsonian museums, says they focus too much on how bad slavery was.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
President Trump is ordering a full review of one of the nation's most cherished museums after saying it focuses too much on, quote, how bad slavery was. And he wrote this: "The Smithsonian is out of control, where everything discussed is how horrible our country is, how bad slavery was, and how unaccomplished the downtrodden have been. Nothing about success. nothing about brightness, nothing about the future, and we are not going to allow this to happen. And I have instructed my attorneys to go through the museums and start the exact same process that has been done with colleges and universities, end quote. For more on this, I want to bring in Ibram.
Hey, and that's really enough right there. He wants to change the laws. He wants to downplay what Esau's track record is. They focus too much on slavery. So he then sent the troops to Washington, D.C., talking about he wants crime to get down, except for the people, the other states that send in troops got crime twice as much as Washington, D.C. So that's a lie. And then when you look up where the Smithsonian Museum is, people also ask where the Smithsonian institution mostly located. Washington, D.C. Most Smithsonian museums are located around the perimeter of the National Mall in Washington, D.C., from the 3rd to the 15th streets between Constitution and Independence Avenues, approximately 1 mile. Then you start to get the full picture of why there are troops in Washington, D.C., rather than all these other states that have twice as much crime, twice as much violent crime, while Washington, D.C.'s crime has been steadily declining since 2023. But he got to send troops to Washington, D.C. So you understand that it's not for violent crimes. It's actually to destroy these Smithsonian museums, because he says it focuses too much on slavery. Basically, it's a stain to Edomites' image. This is Psalms 94:20. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law? They gather themselves together against the soul of the righteous and condemn the innocent blood. But Yahweh is my defense, and my God is the rock of my refuge. And he shall bring upon them their own iniquity, and shall cut them off in their own wickedness. Yea, Yahweh our power shall cut them off. So, again, you Edomites y'all got it coming. All the wickedness that y'all have done, and are doing to our people, the Israelites, so-called Negroes, Indians, Latinos, hey, it's coming back on you. And hey, all you can be happy about is this is your last run. This is your final hoorah, as it is. So basically, he's running through Washington, D.C., just to get rid of these Smithsonian museums, so his Mawa run can produce fruit. So you Edomites don't feel so bad about yourselves because you haven't done anything that was actually productive to the world, except for take everybody else's accomplishments and basically ride off the backs of the other people that you're around. You have produced nothing of yourselves as a nation. Everything you think is great comes from other nations, especially Israelites. When you look at the music genres, whether it be rock and roll, jazz, blues, hip hop, country, all genres of music that's in this country, especially the ones that other nations love, or Edomites, so-called white people love, it all came from Jake. It came from so-called Negroes, Indians, Latinos. Reggaeton, all that music, guess what? It comes from Jake. All the music that you like in this country comes from Jake. Your people, you so-called white people, you Edomites, all the music that you love come from so-called Negroes, Indians, and Latinos. Whether it be the music, the food, basically the hype of this country comes from Jake. In an attempt for you Edomites not to look so bad, Trump sent troops to Washington, D.C. to destroy all these Smithsonian museums. So you can basically change the history or change the known history of America. I mean, it started way back when in Texas, maybe about 5 to 10 years ago, when they tried to change the school books. Talking about what the slaves that were brought over here in captivity were migrant workers, if any of you remember that. This is just the same attempt, packaged in a different way. So, you know, you devils can take this L, you know, because they don't like taking those L's, man. But that's what this is. He's trying to erase Esau's history. And the same thing goes over there in Israel with the JOOs. They're trying to erase Esau's history. Because everybody knows that in 1948, the JOOs went over there in the land of Israel. The Gazans were so nice that they let them stay in their homes. Then, when they tried to come back to their homes, they were met with guns in their face and said, "If you come back here again, you're gonna be killed." And that's how they took over Israel and made the JOO wish religion. And now they're trying to cleanse the people as a hope of cleansing the history. It's not going to work. And all this stuff that you're doing is going to be brought back onto you. This is Isaiah 10:1. Woe to them that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievousness which they have prescribed, to turn aside the needy from judgment, and to take away the right of the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. Hey, these unrighteous decrees that you decreed, guess what? It's coming back on you. It's over for you Edomites, man. And no, Trump can't save you. But y'all gonna keep on hoping that. And I'm gonna end the lesson there. I hope you Akim were edified. Till the next time, all praise and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem, Kwakadash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone. Salutations to you Akim, doing the work in truth and sincerity. Till the next time, Shalom.